Hello everybody, this is A. Perez here, and today I'm here to do a review of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. We've had this for about nearly 2 years, and we've had our hands for a while on the latest wave that just came out back in November. And normally I don't really do reviews for games and content and stuff like this because there's not many games that I would play, especially all kinds of games, but this is one where I just felt like I have to do just because I want to express my own thoughts and opinions regardless of anyone else's opinions whatsoever. But this is what reviewing with our own impressions and opinions about stuff is all about. So yeah, is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass worth the content that we're getting, or is it Nintendo corporately throwing in nostalgia bait for everyone who wants to see their favorite courses get added in? Let's go find out right now. Before we get to this video, I just want to explain how my review of this DLC works. All those 6 waves I played through are going to be based on my experience through the Grand Prix, since this is the most fair way to evaluate how I feel about the overall DLC experience. So I don't do online multiplayer just because it is totally different and it's just pretty off-putting for that. So playing against CPUs at 150cc, mirror mode, and 200cc is pretty much the way to go. So you got that? Okay, then let's get this started. The first wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC contains both the Golden Dash Cup and the Lucky Cap Cup, with the Golden Dash Cup introducing Tour Paris Promenade, 3DS Toad Circuit, Nintendo 64 Choco Mountain, and Wii Coconut Mall, while the Lucky Cat Cup contains Tour Tokyo Blur, DS Shroom Ridge, GBA Sky Garden, and Ninja Hideaway. So how do these courses fare in this first wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC? Starting off, the first track of the Golden Dash Cup and the entire DLC overall is Paris Promenade from Mario Kart Tour. Now at first, I was pretty excited to try out the Mario Kart Tour tracks that I never got to play much on the mobile version of the game. I only got to play like New York Minute, which we'll get to later on in this video, but this is really nice to see it come in live in the HD game, so like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so it's really nice. So basically, this is like a simple basic course that doesn't really have like a whole lot going on. You just go around the track on the first 2 laps, it's just roughly the same, until you get to the 3rd lap where instead of going straight upward, you turn right over there, and then you go around in reverse throughout the whole course. So you're basically going through the entire Paris Promenade track in reverse on the final lap. And I think that was a pretty mix-up for these tour tracks. You're going to see a lot more of them with their own unique paths and whatnot. So this was really making me look forward to more tour tracks coming in, future waves at the time I first played through the first wave. So what I think about this course, I think it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's not terrible. But it's a basic course that just mixes things up a bit, and looks forward to more tracks like this. So if I had to give it a rating from 1 through 10, I would probably give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, not a bad course, but I wouldn't say it's the best, so it's all good. Next up is 3DS Toad Circuit. So this is the first circuit course that we get to play on the first wave of the DLC, and this is the first retro track that we get to play as well. So if you played it on Mario Kart 7 for the Nintendo 3DS, which I have, it's basically a simple course. There's going to be a lot of simple courses throughout this wave, so just because they want to make you get very familiar with the DLC and all that. And nothing's really changed. They just played it safe, The music has been amped up a little bit. I forgot to talk about the music from Paris Promenade, but yeah, the music is pretty good. and it just has like that French feeling to it. So yeah, but getting back to Toad Circuit, what do I think about this course? You know, I'd probably give it like, I don't know, maybe a 7 or 7.5. But I'll probably give it a 7.5 just because it's a simple, play it safe course. So it's good. Next up is Nintendo 64 Choco Mountain. Now, this one's kind of an interesting course, but with the visuals looking a little dull and all that, I'm not gonna nitpick about the visuals too much because I know a lot of people talk about this so much back when the first wave was about to be released and also when it was announced as well. It's just whatever. But anyways, this course, it's pretty interesting. Like it's one of those simple courses, despite the fact that there are falling rocks coming at you, but they do have defenses so that you don't fall off and mess up pretty badly. Like, unlike in the N64 version where you do fall off, you have to, drive around again. They don't return you back to your previous position, which pretty much sucks back then, but whatever. But yeah, this course is pretty good, I would say. I probably give it like, I know I'm going to say this a lot, but 7.5 because these aren't the best tracks in Wave 1, but there's some solid and good ones, but we'll probably wait and see in the next few tracks within Wave 1. Now, last one up in this cup is the fan favorite Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. Now, don't get me wrong, I really liked this course when I played it. It's fun just cruising on through the mall and, just having a blast. But, this is definitely like my favorite of all time or anything. But, this is a pretty decent course, I would say. It's good. They don't have the ramps that, used to have in Mario Kart Wii, but honestly, who really uses the ramps? Or especially professional players who play this game. But yeah, the one thing most people didn't really like is that the cars near the end of the lap don't move at the time Wave 1 came out until they fixed it and made them a bit more movable in Wave 2. So was that like a nice upgrade? It's better than nothing, but honestly I didn't really mind at first, but I understand how people felt about this. So yeah, I don't know. If I had to rate this course, I mean, if back then at Waves 1's release, I probably would have given it like a 7 or 6.5. But since they did fix the mobile car movement, maybe I'll give it like a 7.8. It's a little better, but I wouldn't say it's like my favorite. Starting up the next cup, the Lucky Cat Cup, is personally my favorite course is Tokyo Blur from Mario Kart Tour, just because the Japanese theme to it with all the modern look to it is pretty cool and all. It's one of those tour tracks where, each lap is pretty unique and all. Like, there's so much going on, I probably won't be able to explain and show off all of them. But like, you just go around, the large portion of the course, and then on the second lap, you do take a totally different path. And then on the third and final lap, you do take around like a highway loop, whatever, and that's where you just finish the track. So at least it's a better mix-up than Paris Promenade. But the thing is, Paris Promenade was meant to be more like a simple track just to get players used to the new tour tracks coming up. This one is a little more complex, but I like it. I had fun with this course. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's a great course. I would recommend it. The next course in the Lucky Cat Cup is Shroom from Mario Kart DS, and honestly, this is probably like the weakest out of Wave 1 just because I feel like this course could have been saved for like Wave 2 or Wave 3 or any of the later waves because of how many cars are in the way and how much you have to dodge through. And also the visuals look too plain. Like I said, I'm not going to nitpick on the visuals too much. They don't really bother me that much. They don't affect the gameplay at all. It's just more like, it's just too noticeable. But like, yeah. It's one of these courses where you just cruise on through and then you avoid cars in the way, Really need nothing interesting other than there's a shortcut in the big old open grass field. But yeah, what would I rate this? I'd probably give it, I don't know, maybe a 6. Because, like I said, it's one of the weaker courses in this wave, but there's probably more weaker courses coming up. Next course on this cup is GBA Sky Garden. Now, this course doesn't look too bad. Though like with the visuals and all that, it does like look a little too bright and poppy and all that. But I know I already keep saying this, but like I won't nitpick on the visuals too much because this is too common. But it's a neat course. I do wish like this part right here has anti-gravity. This would have like changed things up a bit since all of Wave 1 didn't really utilize the new Mario Kart 8 features like anti-gravity and a few other things, but I don't know. I just thought maybe the next couple waves will have some anti-gravity and all that, which they do. Spoiler alert, but you know it's a good course, not the best, but it's one of those play it safe courses. So if I had to rate this, I'd probably give it like a 7.2 out of 10, just because it didn't really utilize some of the new features. Kind of a missed opportunity right there, but oh well, what can you do about it? The last and final course of this first wave is Ninja Hideaway, and I gotta say, this is one of the most impressive and brand new courses added into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass. There's like multiple paths you can take, like there's the safe top area where you can just use it, just go up high and all that, and there's like the dangerous bottom area, which it isn't too dangerous if you just know where you're going. And you gotta avoid like the spikes, and then there's this part here where you can just glide all the way up, and then you can just get to the top area. It's pretty overwhelming. There's like a lot of highs and low paths and all that, and you have these propellers that will help you boost up in the air and all that. So yeah, it's a complex track. It's pretty good, I would say, but there are more better tracks coming up and all that. But though this is one of like the really good tracks so far. So yeah, it's brand new. It's a nice mix up, and music has that Japanese feeling to it. So yeah, if I had to rate this, I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. So it's a really good course. Also, there is a shortcut like right underneath here, but that's like out of plain sight, and if you could find it, you can take advantage of this shortcut. Now, before I give out the final verdict for the first wave of the DLC, as well as moving on to the next wave, there are like a few things I would like to share about what's so good and what's so bad about this wave and all that. So there is an improvement on the item boxes, where the time it takes for item boxes to appear has been shortened, so that when someone else decides to go take an item box from you, but you still want to get it to keep yourself protected or get yourself something useful, yeah, that's improved so far. It's only good that if you really want to get some items and you miss out on it, it's like the game's got you covered. So that's a plus. And now here comes some problems. Like I said, a lot of the courses do have something in common, and that's how poor and dull the visuals look. As you can see throughout many of the courses here, they don't look too detailed and enhanced and visualizing, but like I said, it's more of a problem within the community of Mario Kart. But I personally don't really think that's hindering my gameplay experience in a way. I think it could look better, but I don't know. It could, just improve. Another problem is that, like I said before, Paris Promenade, the first two laps, they are pretty similar, but like, it's not too bad, honestly. And then Coconut Malls, the cars didn't move when the first wave came out, but as soon as, the next update, when Wave 2 launch arrived, they did make the cars more mobile, though it's not the same, but it's at least better than nothing. And like I said, Shroom Ridge could have been a later wave since it's a little more complex, but whatever. And none of the courses utilizes anti-gravity, sadly. Sky Garden kind of missed the opportunity, but oh well, it's not a big deal. I guess they were trying to play it safe, but at the same time, they couldn't figure out if this was a good way to utilize some of the new Mario Kart 8 features and all that, so I don't know. But the biggest problem I found about Mario Kart 8's first wave of the DLC is that when I was playing through the Grand Prix, a lot of the CPU players felt pretty unbalanced. It felt like nothing like it was back when, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out in 2017 and onward. So I don't know what Nintendo did to change the CPU behavior of how they play it's just, I don't know. It didn't felt like it was as, well, properly balanced as I remember it being. And this will continue on in the next few waves, but when we get to like the other half of the wave, you'll notice that, character balance has improved and all that, as well as like the cart part, but we'll get to it later. But yeah, by the way, I am basing my overall experience of the Booster Course Pass based on the Grand Prix I've been playing through, just because I want to get like the most fair impression of how I feel about each of the courses I played through. And I did get 3 stars on all the cups, 150, mirror, 200cc, just to see, how I feel about it. And, I've, fully completed them all. So, yeah. Overall, what I think about Wave 1, I mean, it's good. There's some good tracks in this wave, and the tour tracks do make a great job mixing up on most of the laps and all that. And I gotta say, Ninja Hideaway is a really great new course to have, so it's a lot of fun. And Wave 1, it's a good start, just not a stellar one. Just wait until like we get to like the much later waves where things start improving a lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how I feel about the next couple waves. So let's go move on to wave 2. The next wave, which is Wave 2 of the Booster Course Pass DLC, consists of both the Turnip Cup and the Propeller Cup, with the Turnip Cup starting off with New York Minute from Mario Kart Tour, Mario Circuit 3 from the Super Nintendo game, Calamari Desert from Nintendo 64, and Waluigi Pinball from the Nintendo DS. And the Propeller Cup contains Sydney Sprint from Mario Kart Tour, Snowland from Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance, Mushroom Gorge from the Wii, and the new course Sky High Sundae. So are these courses any better than before? Starting off strong on the second wave of the DLC is New York Minute from Mario Kart Tour. Now, this is a really popular one, and this is like literally the only Mario Kart Tour track I played back when I played it on the mobile game, and it's pretty neat. It is very reminiscent of like New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey, but this is actually New York City. And honestly, it's a good way to represent not only New Donk City for the Mario Odyssey fans, but also a good way to represent, the US and the New Yorkers over there. So yeah, this tour track consists of like 3 unique laps to take. You go through a park twice, and you just go through I don't know what they're called, but like you go like on the third lap, it goes through like a car tunnelway and all that. It has like all the fancy like stuff right there with, I don't know, like it kind of looked like Broadway, though I'm not too sure because I don't know too much about New York. But other than all that, it's a pretty vibrant city track, and it's pretty good. I'll probably give this like an 8.8 out of 10. It's a really stellar track to enjoy. The next course is Mario Circuit 3 from Super Mario Kart. And this is also one of these retro tracks. And it's also one from Mario Kart Wii, which, there's a lot of courses from Mario Kart Wii added into this. But basically, this is one of those super simple tracks, nothing too much changed or whatsoever. The music hasn't really improved much. Like, come on. Super Smash Bros. Did it with remixing the Mario Kart theme from, Super Mario Kart. And, they didn't really bother change much on this one. So, would I say this is pretty weak? Pretty much. But it's not the weakest. But, there's another course that I will say out loud that it's weak. So, like, it's a simple, play it safe course, so I will probably give it like I don't know, 6.5 out of 10. It's not a terrible course, I just think it could do better. The next course is Calamari Desert from Mario Kart 64. Now, I hated this course back in Mario Kart 7 because they changed the road physics of this track to be a little more slippery. Not like as slippery as ice, but make it feel like you're not like drifting properly. You're just, steering a bit away from it. But it seemed like this course isn't so bad after all. But what makes this course even more interesting is during the middle of the second lap where you actually ride on the train tracks, and then when you get to the third lap is where you'll get through like the cross line in the tunnel, and then like after you're done with the train track, you're pretty much gonna merge back into proper courses, which I think this is a really nice track to mix things up a bit. And honestly, it's sad that we don't see much of it on like the second half of the booster course pass. They utilize this very well, and it's kind of a shame that we don't see a lot of it, but it's all good for the better. But I like it. I probably give it like an 8.2 out of 10 just for the stellar mix-up. Not my favorite course, but it's great. The last course of the Turnip Cup is Waluigi Pinball from Mario Kart DS. And honestly, this is a really colorful course. And also, this course is one of these courses where it utilizes the previous sound effects back in the Mario Kart DS game, and it's still faithful. It's actually a stellar course. There's nothing much else to say other than like the music's still really rocking and all that. The sound effects are also good, and you do have to watch out from those pinballs, which is what this course is just based on. It's a pinball scene for Waluigi with stellar colors and all that. So it's a pretty great course. I would probably give it an 8.8 out of 10 just because it's very faithful. There's nothing much else I want to say other than just how fun it is. Starting off the next cup, the Propeller Cup, is Sydney Sprint from Mario Kart Tour. And honestly, I would say this is probably one of the weaker tracks in this wave, as well as pretty much one of the more weaker Mario Kart Tour tracks overall. I'll get to it in a moment, but first we gotta look how amazing this course is. With the subway trains, the opera house, the parks, the harbor. It's a pretty looking place and all, I gotta say. So I'll give them credit for that. But here's the one problem that I didn't like about this course so much, is that some of the paths, these paths are just too narrow, making it difficult to avoid incoming obstacles up ahead, as well as leaving you open for enemies to chuck in their red shells, green shells, and other items at you, which can be pretty difficult. And honestly, I just don't really like how it's designed to be, and I don't know, they could have just enlarged the tracks a little more, but I don't think this will be possible. So this is one of these tracks I would rather avoid a lot, but it's not too bad. I just think there really needs to have more open areas so that you have more space to avoid and all that. But if you're like up ahead, you probably won't have that much issue. But if you're like in between plenty of players trying to get first place, this can be a problem. So yeah, overall, it's a fine course, but it's not too great. I'm sorry. It's not the worst. So yeah, if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Honestly, I really wish the tracks were more open space than just pretty narrow. So that's my only gripe about this course. Next up is GBA Snowland from Mario Kart Super Circuit. And honestly, this is not only the weakest course out of Wave 2, but this is pretty much the weakest Game Boy Advance track out there. Just because the road is like super slippery. It was not super slippery. I just say it just feels a little more slippier than your average road. And just so they could, give a bit more realism to the road and all that. Like honestly, this would have made sense if only the centermost part of the course where the penguins are just sliding would have been the only slippery part. That would have been fine, but having the entire road being slippery is just really not something I appreciate. Plus, I don't like the item boxes just following the road with you, making it difficult to get some item boxes. So, I don't know if I like that, honestly. It's just makes this course even more difficult to enjoy, in my opinion. So, I don't know. If I had to, rate this, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10. This is pretty much my most underwhelming course of Wave 2. So, there you go. Next up is another fan favorite course from Mario Kart Wii, and it's Mushroom Gorge. So, this course, there's really not much changed or improved from the previous games from Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 7, since this course, just like Coconut Mall, was originally from those games. And basically, it's just, too similar to Mario Kart 7, but, it's not bad. It's just another one of these play it safe type of courses where they just want to make this course as good and faithful as it was, but, try not to make too much changes where it just falls out very poorly. But, it's still nice. There is the blue mushroom you could jump on in the cave section so you can glide off. Though I don't know if you can like take the shortcut this way to like near the the lap section, but I don't know. Overall, I think it's a fine course. It's good. Not brilliant, but it's a good one. So I'll probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10 for this. So it's a fine course. Not bad, but not the best. The final course of not only the Propeller Cup, but Wave 2 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC is Sky High Sundae. And honestly, this is literally the first DLC track of the Booster Course Pass that utilizes the anti-gravity throughout almost the entire course. And I gotta say, not only is it nice that they did that, but it looks pretty neat. It's delicious, it's treaty, it's yummy, it's making me want to crave for some ice cream, but it's a very solid track. It's pretty cool, no pun intended. Okay, that was intended. But still, it's a great track. It kind of reminds me of Excite Bike Arena, where it's just, a long pill-shaped loop. But, it's a little more expansive and branching on the left half of the course. And it's kind of funny that these stairs are anti-gravity spin boosters. So, I don't know how that works, but okay. Whatever. But I gotta say, this is a really good course. I would give it an 8 out of 10 just because it's neat, and I like new courses that mix things up with its theme a little bit. So yeah. Wave 2 did have some good things here and there, as well as some of the bad things that keep it down from being a very stellar wave overall. Like Calamari Desert not only was an improvement, but it was also a great way to mix up the second and the third laps by utilizing the train tracks being part of the race and all that. And we also got some more interesting courses like New York Minute, Sky High Sundae, and Waluigi Pinball. They're also stellar tracks to have. Plus, Sky High Sundae utilizes the anti-gravity throughout the entire race, which is nice because this is pretty much the first within the Booster Course Pass that uses anti-gravity, and we're going to see more in the next couple waves. So yeah, it's an improvement, even with the Coconut Mall issue where the cars didn't move, but now during the release of Wave 2, they released an update along with the DLC that added in the, mobility of them, so that gives players some fair, fun challenges here and there. Plus, they also enhance some of the item boxes as well, though it's kind of like a little too much for me to explain because I would say the item boxes are improved, so yeah. But what keeps this wave from being amazing is how, Mario Circuit 3, it isn't too bad, but it's just really not much improved. It's just, one of those play it safe courses. Plus, the music isn't really, all that enhanced or whatever. Like I said, Smash Bros. Had a nice remix of the Super Mario Kart Mario Circuit track, but I don't know. City Sprint along with Snowland are pretty much the weaker courses overall. So honestly, it's what's bringing this entire wave down so much. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, overall, Wave 2 isn't too bad, but I really wish many of the courses utilize anti-gravity. Only Sky High Sunday utilized it. Plus, the CPU players are still unbalanced at the time Wave 2 released, so that's why I was still having trouble with Sydney Sprint and a few other courses, but other than that, it's a decent wave, just not brilliant. So let's see what Wave 3 has to offer. We are near the end of the first half of the Booster Course Pass DLC, and this next wave, Wave 3, consists of both Rock Cup and Moon Cup, starting with London Loop from Mario Kart Tour, Bulik from Game Boy Advance, Rock Mountain from the Nintendo 3DS, Maple Treeway on the Wii, we'll get back to you in a moment, Berlin Byways on Mario Kart Tour, starting in the Moon Cup, Peach Gardens for the Nintendo DS, Merry Mountain, and Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 7's for the Nintendo 3DS. So, how does this wave fare among the other two previous waves? The first track of the Rock Cup is London Loop from Mario Kart Tour, and basically you're just cruising on through London with, some change ups that you'll see up ahead in this clip, and there's really nothing fascinating to see other than like a statue and probably the Big Ben near the start of the starting line, which it's kind of hard to see just because we don't really get much of a larger glimpse of the entire city, but it's just basically one of those city tracks where it's unique with its 3 laps, but they don't give you much to gaze upon. There's like a Ferris wheel in the background, but you'll see this a lot throughout here. But yeah, also the music, I mean, it's pretty cool, but I don't know if it's like quite fitting in this kind of city, because I was expecting, London Loop's music would be like pretty fancy for all those Brits, but nah, it's just hardcore rock music playing, just shredding and all that. But I don't think it's that bad, but it's just something I would bring up because like I got nothing much else to say about this track. So overall, London Loop is a pretty good course. Just, there's really nothing much to gaze upon throughout the city. So I would probably give it like maybe a 7.5 out of 10. It's not a bad course. I think like, it's a good course. Just, there's really nothing much that's worth like checking out so much. Bulik from Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance is one excellent course, I would say, because not only do we have like a spooky course, but this one utilizes not only anti-gravity as you see over here, but you also utilize the underwater section, which I think it's a really excellent mix-up for this course, just to finally utilize more of the anti-gravity section. Like, oh my goodness, this is just one of the best looking courses in Wave 3. So I'd say this is like, very awesome. Like the music is also improved, giving you that creepy vibe and all that for, a game suited for younger audiences. So yeah, I'll probably give this course like a 9.5 out of 10. I would definitely replay this a lot. It's really fun and it's also thrilling. Rock Mountain is the next course in the Rock Cup. Pretty fitting, I would say. And this is from Mario Kart 7 for the Nintendo 3DS. And honestly, this is one of those play it safe courses where there's really not much change majorly, but they did add in the anti-gravity section near the end of the lap. So I say this is one of these courses where, would I say it's better than before? Maybe just a little bit, but I think, this is one of these courses that, it's good. They play it safe, but at least they throw in something just to make it worthwhile. There's also a shortcut section on the right side of this clip, but yeah. I mean, there are falling rocks which can be pretty much of a disturbance on your racing, but other than that, if you can like avoid pretty well, then you'll have a blast with this course, especially when you're gliding a bunch. I think like, That's what makes this course pretty fun, though it's not my favorite from Mario Kart 7. But yeah, honestly, this course, I probably would give it like a 7.8 out of 10. I mean, it's a good course, it's not bad, so how much worse can we get after this? Maple Treeway from Mario Kart Wii is the biggest disappointment out of the entire Booster Course Pass, and I do not regret saying it out loud. But first, before we get into that, let's just talk about the course roll and pretty much some good things. It's pretty vibrant for a fall slash autumn looking seasonal type of track, but it's a pretty looking track, don't get me wrong. There's also one section during the middle of the track where they did utilize the anti-gravity as part of a half-pipe, so they're basically bringing back what Mario Kart Wii had for half-pipes, and honestly, I think this is utilized very well. There's also another course coming up later where I think that's also utilized as well, though it's pretty much hardly used because it's pretty distant from there. But yeah, it's a pretty looking track, don't get me wrong, like I said, but don't be deceived by how it looks, because the biggest problem this course has overall is the pile of leaves you see throughout the course. They drop in way too many mushrooms. No bananas, nothing else, just mushrooms. Sure, you don't get any items if you just run into them, but the problem is that this pretty much brings a big advantage to other players falling behind to catch up with you. And not only that, if you run into a pile of leaves and that mushroom lands onto another player, that will give them an unfair advantage against you. So that's why I had so much trouble having to restart, pulling my hair out, screaming so freaking loud and all that. It's just one of the worst, if not the worst track out of, the Mario Kart Wii courses they put in and in the entire Booster Course Pass overall. If you've seen the video where I analyze if Maple Treeway is any better or worse than before after a year since Wave 3 came out, I'll provide a link in the description down below. And if you also want to see my reaction to how I felt on this track during my live stream of Wave 3, check it out as well. There will be a link for it, though keep an eye out on the last hour since that's where I'm struggling the most on this track. So yeah. Overall, Maple Treeway, pretty much the worst track out of the entire Booster Course Pass DLC. I was gonna give it like a 1 or a 2, but because the course is pretty, vibrant and all that, I'm just gonna give it a 3. Nintendo really needs to balance this track. It is absolutely disgusting. So, yeah. Fuck Maple Treeway! Now that I got that off my chest, let's move on to the Moon Cup, starting with Berlin Byways from Mario Kart Tour. So this is another one of these city tracks where you're cruising through Berlin, Germany, and it's a pretty neat looking track. I don't know too much about Berlin since I don't really look into a lot of the cities overall, but it's pretty neat. There's also a trainway you can ride through, though I was pretty bad at it. So I wouldn't recommend it. I think that's like the one problem. Another problem that I heard is that you couldn't even jump over the walls from those swamps on the third lap. So I think that's like another problem. But like I really didn't really care about it because like I just didn't really want to bother. But like it's one of those unique city tour tracks where the laps are unique and all that. Like I said, but it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite or the best, but it's a stellar one. So yeah, I would probably give it like maybe an 8 out of 10. It's not as bad, but it's a good city track. Peach Gardens for Mario Kart DS is another interesting course, just like Calamari Desert, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, this is one of these courses where the foliage is very luscious and gorgeous for a course like this, and it's one of these courses where it's just pretty good. And yeah, there's also chain jumps in the way, and that's what plays your strategy on which path you should take. And there's also a big old piranha plant, so yeah, it's interesting. It's still almost the same as usual, and it's also one of those courses that was also on Mario Kart Wii, because it's a fan favorite game. But yeah, but for the first two laps, it's just the same. It only mixes up a bit on the third lap where you, instead of going around the flowers to the right, you take a left turn and you're basically going through the entire lap in reverse, meaning that you're going through the Monty moles, the piranha plants, the chain chomps, and then you're just reaching to the finish line to wrap it all up. So just like with Calamari Desert, this is a nice way to mix up at least one of the laps just to make it feel more fresh and interesting. And I really wish we see more of this in the next half of the waves, but sadly there isn't. But overall, I probably give Peach Gardens like an 8.5 out of 10, just because it is a nice way to mix it up. Ho ho ho! Hope you're all on Santa's nice list, because Merry Mountain is definitely on this list as well, because this is one of these very interesting Mario Kart courses where it's brand new and it's a nice way to celebrate the holidays at the time Wave 3 released, since it was a December 2022 release. But yeah, figured this is something to promote the holidays and all that, and yeah. This is one of these courses where it utilizes the anti-gravity, and you can also do one of these half-pipe sections, which, just like with Maple Treeway, we don't talk about that by the way, it's a nice way to start implementing this more, and I'm starting to like it. Though I do feel like it's a bit off season if you're playing this course outside of the holiday season, just because it's a Christmas themed course, and I mean, it's not the biggest problem whatsoever. I just think it's funny that, it's part of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass tracks, and you can play this track anytime. At least it's not locked in by a seasonal thing, but still, it's just, a little weird, but it's not that bad. But overall, I probably give this course a 9 out of 10, just because it's a very neat course, and Christmas is awesome. I love it, and yeah, it's a great course overall. Amazing, I would say. The last and final course of the Moon Cup, as well as Wave 3 of the DLC, is 3DS Rainbow Road, and I think it's an interesting way to end off the first half of the wave with a Rainbow Road course, just because we've got like plenty of Rainbow Roads from Mario Kart 8, as well as, from Mario Kart 7, since they've also done that as well. But yeah, this is one of these courses where this is from Mario Kart 7, and that game had like 3 sections to race through for one big old track. So this is one of these where you just ride through the rainbows, you go around those planets, which I don't even know if these are actual planets, but oh well. And then you have to ride through the asteroid sections where there's like chain chomps, I think, and then you also go through the final lap with all these booster panels and those speedy conveyor belts, and you just glide on through if you get the glider panel, that is. Otherwise, you're gonna have to drive dangerously on, the tracks, and then you just go around the U-turn and all that. It's like, it's neat. The music is also like enhanced a little bit as well, but yeah. Overall, I think this was a good choice to have. It's not like my favorite Mario Kart Rainbow Road track overall, but it's a fun and thrilling one to play through, so I'd say, I would probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's a good course, though it's not my favorite, but yeah, that's pretty much all the courses for Wave 3. So overall, Wave 3 could have been a better wave if it weren't for one course, which we'll get to in a moment. But, let's talk about the good things about Wave 3 overall, as well as like sort of some extra ones that I think, really makes this wave stand out for its own good reasons. Like, there's a good selection of courses. Peach Gardens is a nice way to mix things up a bit on the final lap. Merry Mountain is a very nice course to have. Bootleg is very stellar in this one. And there are many more tracks that utilize the anti-gravity section, especially with the half pipes. I think that was like a nice way to make it more fresh than ever, and it's like, it's really nice that, they started implementing this more, and we'll see more of this in the next half. Plus, there's also additional things, is when you glide through the air in these glidable sections, if you get struck by a lightning bolt, you don't get your glider closed off. You are still going to glide no matter what. At first I thought there was like a glitch or anything, but no, it's a gameplay enhancement, and I think we should have had that in the beginning to begin with, because like there's a lot of utilization on gliding that I felt like this was a really necessary change, and that's great. Plus, another thing they added in is the invisibility period length increases based on some of the characters and vehicle parts. So I don't know which one specifically. I don't know who gets the buff on that, but it's pretty nice that they're improving a little bit of the balance, but it's really not in it's not that huge or anything. Plus, the one additional thing they added in is you can customize which items you want on there, so you can go crazy with those blue shell only races if you want, though I pretty much tend to avoid that because like it's just really not the meta, and I don't think this is pretty much a necessity for me to enjoy. This is unnecessary for me to enjoy Mario Kart 8 this way. But if you want to go crazy, go knock yourself out. But me, I wouldn't. But Apress, this wave could have been so good, but why do you say this is the worst wave overall? Maple Tree Way, that's why. If they would have made Maple Tree Way much more balanced without having too many mushrooms and giving other players an advantage over you, this wave could have been so much better than the first two waves. But no, what's even worse is that the CPU players are still not balanced overall, even though the invincibility appearing length has increased, but like not the behavior for some of the characters. So that really doesn't help much overall. Plus, it just makes it super awkward to introduce custom items on there, which doesn't really help it out that much at all. So I was just kind of like really discouraged about all this. So yeah, Maple Treeway is the one course that just literally brought down the entire wave so much. It's just really disappointing. Like, there's a lot of great courses. It's just had to buddy up with one of the worst courses ever, and it's just a shame. I was wondering if the next waves are going to be worse, or if there's any hope for it, because I was starting to like get super worried and had to be super serious about the next courses. Because like if they ever have more Mario Kart Wii courses added in, I'm going to be super strict and serious about them, because I just don't really want to have any more trust on any more Nintendo just promoting more nostalgia bait, nostalgia bias, and all that sort of stuff that just makes it feel like this is just more of a way to capture people's attention than just trying to make it a fun one and diverse more on older tracks, just to make it even more fun and varied. But I don't know. Will Wave 4 be better? Oh, you're in for a treat. But yeah, overall, Wave 3 was pretty much the biggest disappointment. Despite how many good tracks we have, it's just that Maple Treeway pretty much brought it down. If anything, I would just avoid this track personally at all costs until Nintendo fixes it, because there hasn't been anything on that. If you've seen my video about that, you'll pretty much get why I just despise this course so much. And I don't think Nintendo will ever bother doing anything about it. So yeah, anyways, we're halfway through this, so let's see if Wave 4 has anything to make it better for me. I'm going to be honest with you, I was pretty skeptical about this wave at first. When they dropped this trailer a month after the February Direct happened in 2023, I was pretty worried, because between waves 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, normally it would take an average of 4 months to drop each new wave so that the scheduling and the workflow would be consistent between waves. However, this is a totally different case, because we just got this new wave a month earlier than I thought we would get, especially during the holiday season throughout late November and most of December. I'll get back to that later, but right now, let's go talk about Wave 4 and both the Fruit Cup and the Boomerang Cup. Starting with the Fruit Cup, we got Amsterdam Drift from Mario Kart Tour, then we got Riverside Park from Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance, then we got DK Summit from Mario Kart Wii, and a brand new Yoshi Island course, which I'm super excited to talk about and show off. Then we got Boomerang Cup with Bangkok Rush from Mario Kart Tour, Mario Circuit from Mario Kart DS, Waluigi Stadium on the Nintendo GameCube game Mario Kart Double Dash, and Singapore Speedway on Mario Kart Tour. So, was the wave worth the rush that they had to put out? Let's find out. Starting off, the first course of the Fruit Cup is Amsterdam Drift. I do wish there were hamsters in these dams, but oh well. Anyways, before we get into this one, I do want to mention that we do have a brand new character. I wouldn't say brand new, but we got an additional character added into Wave 4 of the DLC, which is Birdo. It's a really nice way to expand the character roster of this game even more, and there's going to be more to come. And honestly, they didn't really need to do this, but they had to. But you know, it's all nice to just so players could find their favorite characters to play as throughout the course of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So yeah. Anyways, getting back on track, we need to talk about Amsterdam Drift. So on the first lap, you go through a field with a lot of windmills and other buildings surrounding, and you know, it looks pretty nice to gaze upon. And then on the second lap, you go through an underwater section underneath the bridges, and you just, you know, cruise on through and, you know, just getting through Amsterdam. And then you get to like the third lap, and, you know, you continue back to the underwater area. And then once you emerge out, you'll see like a massive field of flowers. I believe these are tulips that are just, you know, surrounded all over the course, along with piranha plants that you have to watch out. So yeah, it's a pretty looking course, I gotta say, and it's kind of a fun one to play. So if I had to rate this, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty solid course. It's pretty good, you know. I'd play it a bunch if I could, so yeah, it's a good start. Next up is Riverside Park from Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance, and honestly, this is one of these small courses because it is from the Game Boy Advance game, and honestly, this looks pretty luscious and it looks really nice so far compared to what I remember playing on the Game Boy Advance version of the game. You know, it was like, you know, pretty flat and simple. It felt more like a Riverside jungle, but this one is a lot more detailed because it has like a cave section near the end of the lap, and you know, there's like walking piranha plants, and there's also like Yoshis and Toads just chilling out there, you know. And you know, the visuals, I mean, they're not the most impressive, but you know, they are still rocking it. I also forgot that there were Shy Guys and Koopas, Troopas, and Paratroopas, but you know, it's like, you know, there's a lot of characters you see around just cheering on for you. So yeah, honestly, this is a great course to have. So I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10 just because it's a lot more detailed and, you know, it's a good one. Now, this is where I put my serious shoes on because DK Summit is another Mario Kart Wii course that is added into the Booster Course Pass. And honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it would be considering how many Mario Kart Wii courses Nintendo has been putting up every wave in this DLC. But you know, this is one of these courses that never made its way to any previous Mario Kart games, you know, well, aside from Mario Kart Tour, but didn't make its way to Mario Kart 7. But you know, it's at least nice to have to mix things up a bit and give other courses a shot. So yeah, DK Summit is like, it's a pretty cool course, no pun intended. You're just going through a Donkey Kong barrel cannon to like shoot you up to the, you know, the higher summits, and you know, you just cruise on through like you're playing tennis, snowboarding, I don't know. But yeah, you're just, you know, jumping on snow rails and jumping on small hills, and you have to carefully snake around this big old path. And there's also half pipes, which thankfully they did integrate more of this if you really want to do that. And then you gotta watch out from the Shy Guys skiing, and then you just cruise on through. You know, it's not a bad course. I thought it was gonna be as badly butchered as Maple Treeway, but this is a pretty cool course. I gotta say, I wasn't disappointed. So I would give this like an 8.5 out of 10. Not a bad course. It's just pretty nice to have so far. Now, this next and final course of the Fruit Cup, I believe, is the one where they spent the most time and prioritization among all the other ones, and that is Yoshi's Island. Honestly, this is based on the Yoshi's Island game for the Super Nintendo, and I gotta say, they have a lot of detail expressed that makes it feel faithful to the original game. Like, you got like some of the enemies you see walking around, you got like the castle, the caves, the sky area. Even the music is still catchy to listen to. It's just great. Plus, there's also like a cloud that unfortunately didn't get on footage. But if you pass through this question cloud, you'll open up a red bridge, which will help you out get to the next lap or finish off the course if you're on the final lap very quickly. So if you really want to like win a lot in this course, you're gonna have to rely on it so much. But yeah, even the coins in this one just sound pretty similar to the coins that sound you get from the Yoshi's Island game. It's pretty faithful, and even when you finish the course in this one, it does play the do 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 da 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 na 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 da 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 da. You get the idea. Overall, this is definitely the best course they've ever put in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass. I would definitely give this a 10 out of 10 rating. It's so faithful, it's amazing, it's really nostalgic to the Yoshi Island fans, and honestly, this is pretty much the best track, not only in this wave, but in the entire DLC overall. So props to you, Nintendo. I clap for that. The next cup is the Boomerang Cup of Wave 4, and we are starting off with Bangkok Rush. Now get your mind of the gutter, by the way. So this course is basically, one of these tour tracks, and you're cruising on through like the small boats that you use a paddle for to like roll it, and then you go through like a marketplace as well, just because I don't know, I don't really know a lot of the cities very well. Just there's like a lot of like shallow river waters and markets, and there's like a subway bus up ahead if you take the path up there, and then like you go on to the second lap, and yeah, I don't know, I don't remember this track very well because I haven't really played it much, but you go through like, as you see on the footage, you're going through like, a hall of, shops next to them, and you're gliding on through with some fancy buildings and monuments and all that sort of stuff. Look, I don't know this city too well, so cut me some slack. And then there's like speed panels that, lets you go faster and all that. So yeah, and then like on the third lap, you're just, cruising on through, and you're about to like wrap it up. Like, look, I don't know. I wish like, I studied this course well enough to know, but since they're a new track, it's just a while to get used to. But it's a nice track. I would have to rate this like an 8 out of 10 just because it's pretty neat. It's not like the best, but it's not bad. I also like how you could just jump above those shopping tents or whatever you call them. Those, just call them those tents, but it's a solid course. I would definitely try out some more, so yeah. The next course is Mario Circuit from Mario Kart DS, and honestly, this is one of those play it safe and simple courses to play through, especially since this is like the first wave of 2023. But yeah, you're just cruising on through, avoiding piranha plants that are spitting hot fire at you with them sick beasts. Nah, they're not actually like making any sick beasts. And honestly, as you cross through the pipe, you'll see like a luscious forest. I don't remember how the original Mario Kart DS track was like, but it looks pretty much better. There was also a wiggler on the side as well, but until the third lap, the wiggler starts moving, so watch out on that. And then you just do like, 2 snake U-turns around to, get to the finish line and all that. So yeah, I'd say it's a good course. It's kind of one of those play it safe. I would wish the fireballs weren't in the way so much, but honestly, it's not a big deal, so whatever. But yeah, anyways, I would probably give this like a 7.8 out of 10 just because, it's a good course. Not the best, but it's not terrible. So it's like, yeah, I would give it an 8, but we'll just, save the 8s and higher for like the better courses. So finally, after a whole year, we haven't had a GameCube course added in throughout the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC, and we finally got one. And the first one overall is Waluigi Stadium from Mario Kart Double Dash. And honestly, this is a really different course than before because the things they only added in were not only the half pipe that they integrated for the anti-gravity thing, but they also added in those new paths up ahead, which I don't know, I feel like it's a little overwhelming to have. I don't think it's terrible, but getting there is, a little bit of like more of a proper setup in order to get there, but like if you just ride on the end of the half pipe and then you just jump onto there, you'll be able to make it, keeping you safe from and players throwing in red shells or items at you. Just, be careful not to get sniped that easily. But, it's a little bit overwhelming. I wouldn't say that's like the biggest problem, but it's a little bit of my personal nitpick about it. So it's like once you get used to it, it's not so bad. But yeah, overall, this is a pretty great course, I would say. I do wish we had like more of this for other ones, but it's pretty good that we got some more of the integration with anti-gravity, some new road paths, and other neat stuff. And I gotta say, this is just one of these good courses that gives you options to either play it safe or just take the risk. So yeah, I gotta give it like an 8.2 out of 10. It's a great course. The last course of the entire wave is Singapore Speedway. And now I gotta say, this is pretty much the better looking Mario Kart Tour tracks in Wave 4 just because of the night scene and the colorful colors around the entire course. And it's pretty, nearly futuristic kind of thing. I don't know how Singapore is like over there, but it's really awesome. It's super cool, I would say. It's just, one of the most vibrant and colorful tour tracks out there. And, it did not disappoint me. On the first lap, you cruise on through, glide, and you just go one of those water party sections. I don't even know if they're having a party. It just look like they're chilling. And then like on the second lap, you go through, a roadway of like markets and fancy Asian buildings and all that look like, castles or whatever. I don't know. They're probably Asian buildings. So yeah. And then look at this. You just go on through like a water and like it spits out the water geysers out here. It's really cool and all that. And then the third lap is probably like one of the coolest parts. You're just cruising on through like conveyor belts that either slow you down or speed you up depending on where you're riding on. And then you're just going through like a colorful orange and green bridge right there. And then you're just gliding on through like most of this section right here. And I don't know what else to say. It's a pretty awesome course, I would say. It's really nice, it's colorful, it's vibrant. It's like, definitely one of the better Mario Kart Tour tracks out there. And I really like it. It's good. So I would give this an 8.8 out of 10. It's just really pretty looking and, the city looks really awesome. I'd go there someday if I could. And that was Wave 4 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. I gotta say I was pretty impressed about this wave overall. There's a lot of great courses that were added in and were enhanced. There's a lot of music that is also greatly enhanced as well, just so it makes it feel like it was, remastered music from, like in the original Mario Kart 8 tracks and all that. And then they didn't have to do this, but including Birdo along with plenty of other characters in the roster was pretty neat. At least it's free if you buy the DLC. It's just really, kind of redundant for what it is, but it's just nice. Plus there's also one last improvement they made that, the other three waves didn't really bother, is that They improved the character performances as well as the vehicle parts, and some enhancements on items and whatever else they did are also improved. So that's great. However, there is like one thing I do want to talk about is the release date. I don't know why Nintendo decided to release this early on in March on the day before Mario Day. I get it, they want to release it just to promote the new Mario movie that's coming out a month since then. But I honestly would have been okay if they would have released it much later in March, like around like the last week of March, or release it in early April, sometime before the release of the Mario movie, just so they had all this time to refine it and make this a much better wave. Especially with the holiday season where they had time off so that they can celebrate the holiday season with their families and friends together. But I don't know, I guess they were like putting like overtime throughout the holidays so that they can, spend their extra time just, working on the courses more and all that. I don't know how the workforce goes in Japan and other places, so it's like I really don't know that kind of stuff. I'm just knowing what I know was based on my personal work experience at my job. So yeah, honestly, it it wasn't that disappointing. I just think they should like watch out for next time. And here's one last thing I do want to bring up, other than like Waluigi Stadium being a little bit overwhelming, like I said before, is that Maple Treeway has not been improved. I'm gonna be straight up to you in advance that I will like not mention this on the next two waves. They did not improve Maple Treeway. It's like I checked the update notes for wave 4, wave 5, wave 6, even like the wave 3 post update stuff, as well as like the last update we have as of today. There has been nothing on Maple Treeway. I don't know. It's like I said on my Maple Treeway video, if you've seen it, they haven't really done anything to improve it. So I don't know. I'm probably going to disregard this throughout the rest of this video just because you should probably know but now that Maple Treeway has not done anything to fix the amount of mushrooms that they have, as well as like other problems that I probably did not mention or was aware of, but whatever. Overall, it's not hindering Wave 4. I think Wave 4 is a better wave so far, before Wave 5 and 6, because things are getting a lot more interesting. How interesting? Let's go talk about this next wave. After 4 properly average months of waiting for the next wave since Wave 4, we finally got Wave 5, along with 3 more additional characters adding into Wave 5 of the DLC. And these are PD Piranha, Wiggler, and the newly introduced Kamek. So yeah, that's awesome because Kamek was supposed to be a playable character in Mario Kart 64, but was scrapped. But according to the wiki from what I'm looking at, he was also meant to appear in Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, but was scrapped as well. But it's nice to see Kamek finally making his stellar appearance on home consoles, so yeah. Also, I forgot about the courses. We got the Feather Cup and the Cherry Cup to talk about. So the Feather Cup contains Ascen's Dash from Mario Kart Tour, Daisy Cruiser from the GameCube game Mario Kart Double Dash, Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii, and the brand new Squeaky Clean Sprint. And then we got the Cherry Cup that has Los Angeles Labs from Mario Kart Tour, Sunset Wilds from Game Boy Advance's Mario Kart Super Circuit, Koopa Cape from Mario Kart Wii, and Vancouver Velocity from Mario Kart Tour. So how does these tracks and these new characters fare? Starting off the wave and the Feather Cup is Ascen's Dash from Mario Kart Tour. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is probably like the weaker Mario Kart Tour tracks as well, along with Signy Sprint, just because there's a lot of obstacles and stuff in the way, as well as like not trying to figure out where you're gonna go just because it's a brand new course, and you just don't know what to expect to make a turn left or right or whatnot. It's kind of hard to see on some parts, so that's why I had trouble trying to get through it. But it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So, anyways, you get through Ascen's Dash just by, cruising on through, and then you just have to avoid some of the obstacles, the pillars in your way, as well as trying to figure out where you're gonna have to turn and all that. And there's really not much to gaze because all you're gonna see are like a bunch of pillars, some pillars collapsing, like right there, for example. And there's really barely much any citywide places to just check out. I don't know. And then like on the third lap, you just cruise on through, glide on. There's more anti-gravity sections for those half pipes, and you also gotta watch out from those rocks as well. And then you're just done with the course. So honestly, I'm not really a fan of this track just because there's like so much in the way and not much to expect as you're cruising on through, especially when you're jumping from like low to high areas. So I don't know. It's not my favorite course. It's not that it's a bad course. It's just, I really wish they would have just, thrown in some warnings and about some of these spots here and there. But I don't know. I'd probably give this a 5.5 out of 10. It's not the worst, but, it's probably like one of the weaker courses in this wave. Pretty much the weakest, but, it's just not great in my opinion. Next up is Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash, and honestly, this is one of those play it safe courses, so it's pretty neat. This was also on Mario Kart 7 because I remember playing that. So, it's a fine course. There's a lot of moving tables. You do go through a pool early on as well. And there's also like an underwater section right over there, which I didn't take in this lap, but you just go on through if you want to, like, take advantage if you have like a speedy underwater cart, if you really want to do that, or just play it safe depending on your situation or strategy. And you just do a U-turn around, and that completes the lap. I don't know, it's just one of those play it safe courses. It's not bad, but it's not super brilliant or anything. It's if you like this track, hey, all the more merit to you. It's a good course. I would probably give this like a 7.8 out of 10 if I could, just because, it tries to make sure it doesn't like get pretty scuffed and all that. But yeah, it's a solid course, I would say. Next up is Mario Kart Wii's Moonview Highway. And I gotta say, just because this is a Mario Kart Wii track doesn't mean I'm gonna go easy on it. However, this track isn't as bad as I was hoping it would be. But, I remember playing this on Mario Kart Wii, and it was a lot of fun cruising on through the highways, especially on the booster panels right here. I just think it's pretty satisfying just to go through every one of them. It's really fun. Like, I remember this was like a super fun course to play on Mario Kart Wii. This is probably one of my favorites, despite being like, I remember being on the Star Cup on Mario Kart Wii. But, it's a good and fun course to play. There's a lot of cars, and even those bob-omb cars you have to watch out as well. But hey, that's what makes this course thrilling, especially for one of these courses that was in the Star Cup of Mario Kart Wii. So yeah, I would pretty much give this an 8.5 out of 10, I would say. It's not the best, but it is a really fun course, so I'll let it slide for this time just because, I had some fond memories with this course. So yeah, it's a good one, and, it's super fun and thrilling. The last track in Feather Cup is Squeaky Clean Sprint, and it's a brand new course, and honestly, this reminds me of Ribbon Road from, the Mario Kart 8 Wii U DLC. I believe this is from the Animal Crossing pack. But yeah, this is like one of these courses where instead of taking place in a toy room with toys and all that, it takes place in a bathroom, and like it's pretty wacky. You just go on through like the sinks, the bathtubs, and you're just cruising on through, and then you're getting blown away by this big old fan, and then you just glide up, and then you go above a toilet. It sometimes even gushes out a geyser of water on the second lap as well. So it'll give you a chance to go on the upper route and all that. It also has like multiple paths between laps as well, but it's kind of like an interesting course, I would say. It's not as amazing as Yoshi's Island, but it's a fun one, I would say. It's a pretty good course. It's just, pretty fun and all that. I would give this course, let me see. It would be, let's just give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a great course, but, it's nothing like too mind blowing or anything. It's just, pretty fun. Starting off the Cherry Cup is Los Angeles Labs for Mario Kart Tour. Now, I do want to say this, Los Angeles represent! But yeah, I live near Los Angeles, not like exactly close by, just, within the county, I would say. But yeah, this is one of those interesting courses where you're just cruising on through the beach along with a amusement park near the pier, and it's a pretty faithful tour track. I don't know Los Angeles too much, but I do know some of the famous locations and all that. So that's pretty neat that they have this within the first lap. And then when you're going on through the second lap of this course, you do glide on through the baseball stadium, and it's pretty nice. That this city is pretty well known for like baseball with like the Dodgers, the Angels, or whatever baseball teams on there. So it's pretty nice. And then like on the third lap, you go through an excavation site where they do construction and digging and all that sort of stuff. And you just gotta watch out from like a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of paths, by the way, so like be on your wheels on that. And then you like reach near the end where the amusement park is at, and yeah, it's a pretty great course. Probably amazing, I would say. Not because I'm from California or anything, but it's a fun course to play. I'd probably explore around this track some more just because it's pretty fun, and it's like pretty nice to gaze through. The city tracks are like some of the funner courses to just explore around. So yeah, honestly, I would give this a 9 out of 10. Not to throw in any favoritism or anything. I just think this is pretty faithful, and it's a fun one to play through. So gotta represent our area some way. Next up is Sunset Wilds for Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance, and this is pretty much the last GBA course we'll ever see in this DLC. But yeah, this is pretty much one of those very interesting tracks that, you're in like the Wild Wild West, though there's a lot of mining and footprints going on. So yeah, it's a pretty neat course, I would say, for like such a small and simple track. It's, pretty interesting that the Game Boy Advance tracks are getting a bigger chance to shine in a game like this. So yeah, the one thing I did hear from people are that it doesn't do the sunset to the nighttime and the morning cycle, which honestly, I don't even remember very well from Mario Kart Super Circuit because I don't really play that game that much. But I don't know. It doesn't really affect me in terms of like gameplay or anything, because like from what I've heard, it was an issue with the engine itself not doing the cycles like that. But come on, it's called Sunset Wilds for a reason. Maybe they want to make the title as faithful as they want it to be. Just have an actual sunset. But I don't know. This is probably like my hot take about it. But honestly, it's a great course, I would say. So I'd probably give this like an 8.8 out of 10. It's a pretty fun one, and I pretty much like it. Just when we thought we couldn't get enough of Mario Kart Wii courses, we got another one in this wave. So we have Koopa Cape from Mario Kart Wii. Even though Moonview Highway was one of the Mario Kart Wii courses added into this wave, we added another one just because Nintendo loves to shill on Mario Kart Wii so much. I know it's a fan favorite game, but I just feel like we're at the point where we just pretty much had enough. But the thing is, this isn't as bad as Maple Tree Way. It's one of those play it safe courses. If you remember this course, it's pretty straightforward. But they do have anti-gravity sections in the underwater section, and then there's also that half pipe as well. So, it's pretty neat that they're throwing in some of the new Mario Kart 8 mechanics on there, as well as like the new ways of using anti-gravity on those half pipes. So, yeah. It's a pretty good course. It's not my favorite, but it's a fun one to play. There was also a Mario Kart 7 as well. So we pretty much have like all the Mario Kart Wii retro courses from Mario Kart 7 in this DLC. So I guess that's something, but it would have been nice if they would just give other Mario Kart Wii courses that never made it into this game a chance, but I don't know. It's like whatever. So yeah, I'd probably give this course like an 8.5 out of 10. It's a great course. It's also one of those played safe courses, but it's at least improved and it's not as bad as I was worried it would be. The last course of this wave, as well as the Cherry Cup, is Vancouver Velocity. And, it's one of those winter courses. Well, I wouldn't say winter because, Canada is well known for it being, very high up north and having snow and all that. But, yeah, it's one of those interesting courses that, mixes up a whole lot than the other tour tracks. But, yeah, you go through bridges and there's like an anti-gravity section, which I don't remember if past Mario Kart Tour tracks in this DLC utilize anti-gravity, aside from like the original new courses like Merry Mountain, for example. But hey, that's really awesome that they're doing this. But yeah, it's a pretty neat one that they did that. So that's within like the first lap. The second lap of this course has you going through a somewhat narrow path through the park, and after that, you'll be heading to the ice hockey arena where you'll just find some shy guys just skiing around here, and so you have to watch out. You will have to take the left path in the second lap, but you will definitely come back on the next lap after that, so you'll be meeting those shy guys again. But on the third and final lap, you go through a tunnel roadway that will take you straight back to your favorite Shy Guys at the hockey arena again. So you gotta watch out and go straight forward this time, and then you just gotta cruise on through, and then you'll be done with this entire race. So yeah, this is a pretty great course. I would say I would give this an 8.8 out of 10. It's like, it's close to Los Angeles Labs, but it's a pretty stellar one for what it was doing than the other Mario Kart Tour tracks. So yeah, that was Wave 5 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC, and I gotta say, this is definitely a huge step up from the last waves of DLC. This was definitely the best DLC I've ever played at the time I played through this. Like, there's a lot of great courses, they're a lot of fun. There are some new additional characters such as PD Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek from both Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Kart 7, and Mario Kart Tour respectively. The music is still stellar to listen to. Some of the tracks do have a nice variety of paths to take so that you can, handle certain situations differently. And yeah, it's a pretty stellar wave. There's also some additional improvements made on this game as well, such as item warnings have been adjusted so that if you're getting targeted by a red shell or any other item coming towards you, that will be the priority for that, since in Mario Kart 8 you are pretty much getting alerted regardless of who's getting targeted, which I thought it was kind of annoying because like I usually assume I'm getting targeted because like there's an item coming towards me, but no, that's really not the case because like this was never like that in past Mario Kart games. So it's nice that they brought this back to normal, so that's really awesome. Plus they also improved the balance of characters and vehicles and other stuff as overall. Plus some invincibility times after getting hit has also been enhanced, so for only some characters, by the way. So I'd say this is a really well balanced Mario Kart game so far. It's just really nice. However, I do think Athens Dash is pretty much a weaker course just because of the amount of obstacles and pillars in the way. That's the one thing I was not like really excited about for this course. It's not a terrible course, I just wish it was better. And there's also another problem that I didn't mention, but some of the half pipes, such as Koopa Cave for example, these can be a bit of a problem if you just want to drive away from the half pipes, if you don't want to just get the coins or the item blocks, just because I feel like these can be pretty distracting and it's just hinders your driving and all that. So it's like I really do wish they didn't implement so many of it. It's just something I just really wish this wasn't shoved in so much, because like if they're trying to encourage us to use the half pipes more. I just think they need to find like a better way to balance it out instead of that. But other than that, it's like if you can get used to the courses, then it's really not much of a problem. But overall, I'd say Wave 5 is a really strong wave, and honestly, I really enjoy my time. So, can this get any better in this final wave? Here we are with the final wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC containing not only the Acorn Cup and the Spiny Cup, but we got 4 more additional characters adding in, including Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Peachette, and my personal favorite out of the other characters, Pauline. So that's really awesome. So in Acorn Cup, we got Roma Vanti from Mario Kart Tour, DK Mountain from Mario Kart Double Dash, Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii, and Piranha Plant Cove, which is a brand new course. And the final cup, Spiny Cup, contains Madrid Drive, Rosalina's Ice World from Mario Kart 7, Bowser's Castle 3 on Super Nintendo, and Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii. So is this pack even better, or the best, or the worst? Let's go talk about each and every one of them. Starting off the Acorn Cup is Rome Avanti from Mario Kart Tour. And I gotta say, this is a pretty looking track, I would say. It's also a fun one to play as well. So this city is well known for its massive Coliseum, which you see yourself just drive around to the top of the Coliseum on the first lap. And then most of the track has you explore around its massive city. And there's like a pizza restaurant around there, as well as like a cafe and plenty of other places to check out and about. And then on the third lap, you'll be heading towards the Coliseum again, where it contains a lot of chain chomps that you gotta watch out, but you can trick off of them so you can get like a bit of speed this way. And then there's also like a glider section where you can just glide through with those fuzzies right there. You gotta watch out though. So yeah, this is one of those tour tracks that I think it's just pretty good. It's fun to look at, I like it. I had fun with this course. There's really not much else I want to say about it, but I would say I would give this track like an 8.2 out of 10. It's a good one. It's fun. I like it. Next up is DK Mountain from Mario Kart Double Dash for the Nintendo GameCube. And this is one of these interesting courses that, it's mainly because of Diddy Kong and Funky Kong's inclusion, but at the same time, this is one of those play it safe courses where there's really not much change at all, but they did throw in a bunch of these item blocks, the barrels, which I don't think they were there in previous games, and they also have these anti-gravity half pipes to take as well. Although I don't know if you can do the shortcut that a lot of Mario Kart Wii Pro players have been doing around these snakeable paths, but it doesn't seem like it's doable, though I haven't really tried it out for sure, so I really can't say. But there's also the wavy bridge near the end, so that you can get some tricks here and there and all that. So yeah, it's a fine course. It's pretty good. There's really nothing that improved a lot, but it was one of those play it safe courses that I think it's pretty good, I would say. So like, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 just because it's a pretty fun one. Next up is Daisy Circuit, and just like with DK Mountain, it is one of those courses where they also played it safe just by not doing too much to change up the course and all that. Though I do believe there is like a ramp that was added in after the tunnelway that you see up ahead, and there's also booster panels on the big circular U-turn area, which I don't know if it was there in the original game or not, so I don't know. I haven't really played Mario Kart Wii much or remembered, so it's like my memory is pretty fuzzy on it. But other than that, it's a fine course. It's not my favorite, but it's one of these courses where if you love it, hey, more good to ya. So yeah, I would probably give this like an 8 out of 10 just because, I was pretty happy when I was playing through Wave 6, so I'll let it slide this time. So, yeah, good course. This next course is very interesting and it's a really good one, I would say. So, this is Piranha Plant Cove added into the DLC. It's a brand new course, so it's very interesting. So, this one has like a mixture of being an original brand new track while having most elements from a city track from Mario Kart Tour, and it just feels like a very unique and special course in a way. So, starting out this track, you go through like the rightmost half of the whole course, taking like, a lot of underwater sections here and there. And then you take like a branch path, and then you just glide on through, and then you just go around more in other places. I don't know. It's kind of like not much to say, but you're just cruising on through. And then on the second lap, you take a left turn right here, and this is where you'll just, jump on rocky ramps, go underwater, and all that sort of stuff. This is very heavy on underwater, so if you have like a vehicle combination that boasts very well underwater, you'll probably have a fun time with this. But anyways, getting back on track, you'll come across swamps that are right up ahead, and you can either take a risky dare and just take the boost panels, or you could take one of those ramps and trick off of it so that you can get a boost and play it safe this way. So there's like, some choice of variety for you to choose depending on your situation. But yeah, and then on the final lap, you're taking the bottommost half of the course, and there is a shortcut up ahead, which I didn't get to show because I don't have any mushrooms with me. But if you do, you can take advantage of that. And you're just snaking on through a little bit, taking care of the water geysers, and then you go inside through one of those caves up ahead with an eel ready to strike at you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this course. It's a really good one. If I have to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. It's a great mix up for elements of the tour tracks and a new course as well. The final cup is Spiny Cup, and we are starting off the cup with the final tour track available in the entire Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, and it's Madrid Drive. And I gotta say, overall, this course is pretty looking. So yeah, you start off just by cruising around through the city, and then you come across a plaza where you see Toads and Yoshis and others just having a good time eating and talking and chilling. And then you come across like a big old wiggler in the way, and you'll see him again later on in the next lap. And you just go through this pathway that leads you to a museum of art and pictures and all that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know a lot about this city, but from what I'm seeing, it just seems like they're showing some of like the iconic places you can check around in Spain. But yeah, and then you continue on through the city more, and then later on you come across like a narrow path with like markets and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, and you come back to the plaza again. This time the Wiggler is just joining in and just moving around and stuff. And then like later on you come across through a small park area with water in coming up ahead, and then you just glide on through and with geysers just spitting out, and continue to cruise as usual, nothing much else. And then the interesting thing is on the third lap, like after you cruise on through most of the city more, you'll come across a football stadium, as all you international people call it, but here in the US we just call it soccer. But you come across a football slash soccer stadium there, where you see like, I think Goombas on those boots just kicking soccer balls back and forth to each other. I thought this was like neat, and it's also nice to represent Spain this way. So yeah, this is a really amazing track, I would say. It's like, it's nice to mix it up here and there and all that. So yeah, I would give this course like a 9 out of 10. It's a great course, and I would enjoy it a lot. Next up on this cup is Rosalina's Ice World from Mario Kart 7 for the Nintendo 3DS. And I gotta say, this looks pretty good, even though this is not my favorite course out of the entire wave so far. But it's not bad. You start off like just by driving around the icy area and then you see half pipes coming along, and you come across this area where you can just either dive down or just take the surface just to play it safe, though you'll be forced to go underwater on the second and third laps unless you have a mushroom. Then you come across these icy caves, and then you can either take the safe but long way to around the caves, or just take a risky and speedier path so that you can get ahead a little further. So yeah, I feel like this track may not be well suited for 200cc just because you'll be going uncontrollably fast, and you may end up going off ramp, and you may end up falling off as well. So this is one of these courses where you'll have to like be careful if you're playing on 200cc. Otherwise, you'll lose control, you'll fall off a lot, and you won't be able to win that easily. So yeah, it's one of those risky courses that you gotta take. But yeah, overall, this is a fine track. I would give it like an 8 out of 10 just because it's good. It's not my favorite, but you know, it's a fine course to take. So yeah. This next course is really interesting. We got Super Nintendo's Bowser Castle 3 from Super Mario Kart, and I gotta say, this music is really heavy, like heavy metal heavy, like holy moly. This is one of like the dopest metal mixes of Mario Kart on there. Like, I gotta say, this is just crazy. Like, it's even more metal than any of my older brother's music he would listen to, but you know, that's just a silly take I had to drop in. But yeah, anyways, aside from all this music that just slaps so hard, this is pretty much the best Super Nintendo track we got in this DLC. Like, Mario Circuit 3, eat your heart out. I'm sorry, but Bowser pretty much won something you couldn't. But yeah, you're just cruising on through, you know, Bowser's course, and you know, you got like multiple paths to take, and there's also like anti-gravity to take as well, and you know, you got swamps in the way, and you also got like paths that you can take above and below. But I feel like taking the path below is safer in my opinion. Like, I don't think there's anything beneficial taking the upper path other than probably be safe and whatnot. But I don't know. This is one of those courses that really stood up a lot, and I think this is pretty much the best Super Nintendo course we got. So I would give this like a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely one of the more top tier courses despite being short and small. But you know, I like it. It's a really step up, and you know, I'm surprised by how hard they worked on this course. But what about the final course, you say? I was honestly surprised when I played through the entire course on the Grand Prix, and honestly, I was not disappointed. I was kind of pretty skeptical and worried at first because this is a Mario Kart Wii course, but I'm actually like surprised, like I said, that this is not only one of those play it safe courses, but this track is very colorful and vibrant, just like with any Rainbow Road that you've seen throughout Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and its DLC. But, you know, the music is also thrilling, giving you the intense feeling of, you know, reaching to the end of the finish line and all that. And then you also glide on through this super hyper speed path, as well as like, you know, jumping on this railroad. It also uses anti-gravity. Of course, it's a Rainbow Road track. It would be criminal to not have that. And you got like 2 paths to take, and you have like to play it safe and all, especially in 200cc where it just feels very intense and satisfying once you get through it in first place. But yeah, another thing to note is that they also do have that meteor falling effect where you fall off the track and you're just falling off like you're a meteor. So I thought that was like a neat detail they threw in, so that's pretty neat. So overall, this is pretty much like the best Rainbow Road we got in this DLC. I would probably say this is probably almost the best Rainbow Road. If, you know, I had to compare this to N64 Rainbow Road, that one was also great. So it's kind of tough to say which one is the better one. But, you know, a lot of the Rainbow Roads in this one haven't been too bad. Even though Super Nintendo Rainbow Road was like, you know, a little different, but you know, whatever, it's not bad. But you know, Mario Kart Wii's Rainbow Road, I give it like a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely a stellar one to go with. So yeah, very satisfying. And that's it. That's the entire Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. We're done with Wave 6, and it just felt very satisfying to finish this till the end. There were a lot of excellent choices of tracks to go with in the final wave. The music is very well done and impressive on most of them. The tour tracks are great, like Piranha Plant Cove. It's a great way of mixing up being a brand new course while also integrating most of the elements from the city tour tracks to make it feel more like its own original standout course. Plus, like I said before, they didn't have to do this, but they actually did. They included 4 more characters. We were hoping we'll only get 2, and I was worried that they would pretty much leave Pauline out of this, but they actually did it. We got Diddy Kong from Mario Kart Double Dash, Funky Kong from Mario Kart Wii. It was no surprise, we were expecting him to appear anyways. And then we got 2 more characters from Mario Kart Tour, Peachette and Pauline, who is the one I was most looking forward to the most. So yeah, it's a nice wave. It's pretty much the best wave out of them all. And I'm pretty happy that 2023's wave of DLC have been so much better than 2022's wave of DLC. Plus, there's also additional things I do want to say that makes Wave 6 and its update even better. We got 17 Mii outfits. There's a lot to check out if you play as your Mii character. So it's really neat. I think they also included Daisy as well as making some of the other amiibo like Link and Kirby and Samus being unlockable as outfits if you have amiibo within the respective series. So like scanning with Zelda Organic can get you a Link, scanning a Metroid and Ridley will get you Samus's outfit, and DDD, Meta Knight, Waddle Dee, any of the Kirby series amiibo, you can unlock Kirby outfit this way. Though I don't remember what else needs to be unlocked within the other series, but this is pretty nice. There's also a music mode in the game because all 96 tracks are unique soundtrack wise, which is probably why we didn't see like a lot of like Super Nintendo Mario circuits, some of the circuit courses from like Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart Super Circuit, for example, because they are pretty similar, and I guess it's because of the limitations of how much you can put in the game. But every course feels very unique, including the extra 8 soundtracks from the battle courses. Those are part of the music mode and all that. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Plus, if you're playing competitively online and I guess in like offline multiplayer or single player, whatever, item boxes have taken a drastic change where you cannot abuse the heck out of it so much where you won't be able to like spam like a bunch of blue shells or red shells or a lot of items that will just make this unenjoyable for a lot of players. So that's taken a nerf, so that's great. And then there are some invincibility time increase for some of the characters' vehicles, so that's also nice to have. And then the item blocks are much more quicker to obtain than before. So like when you get an item block, it'll be back up for the next player like nearly instantly. So that's a nice change as well. And then they also unlock the credits if you complete the Booster Course Pass DLC for the final waves in the Grand Prix, or if you play like 100 courses in the online multiplayer if Grand Prix isn't your type of thing. But it's nice and all that. And one last positive is that this is definitely the most refined Mario Kart experience ever. Like, they definitely balanced the characters out. They definitely balanced the vehicles out. They definitely improved so much to the point where I just feel like this is perfect and unchangeable. It should be left untouched and all that. So yeah, I know we still don't have Maple Treeway resolved, and there aren't any other problems I could find about Wave 6 and its latest updates. But honestly, I think Wave 6 has been, I wouldn't say flawless, but exceptional in my opinion. So yeah, I think Wave 6 is personally the best DLC wave we got out there, and honestly, there's nothing else that can top it since this is the last wave. They ended off very strong. So I guess it's time to wrap this whole video up since we've been at it for so long. So what did I think about the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Boosted Course Pass overall after playing through all 6 waves over the course of 2 years throughout the release from early 22 to as of now in late 2023? I think it's really good. Like, it's not the best, but it's not that bad. Just there are some flaws that I didn't like about the DLC, especially with how bad it started off to begin with, but later on it did start picking up in quality and all that sort of stuff, and I just think the DLC overall is nice to have, because like, look, it just feels like we're playing a brand new game in a way. Just, you know, like you were just playing tour tracks along with like a lot more retro courses and some new ones, and improving some gameplay experiences and all that, you know, could have been in the beginning to begin with. But other than that, it's still nice to, you know, see some more longevity in a 5+ year old game like this. Well, probably 6, well 7 with the, you know, upcoming year passing through in 2024. But yeah, honestly, it just felt like this is the biggest content of Mario Kart we've ever had. Probably bigger content than any racing game so far, though I haven't really played a whole lot of racing games on other platforms and whatnot. But in terms of like my overall experience, this is really massive because we're getting double the courses, like 96 courses in one game. It's just huge for a game like this, and I think like Nintendo really did a great job with it. Like I said, there were problems, like, you know, it was off to a, you know, weak start within the first 2 to 3 waves, and then on the second half it started to pick up better and better and better, making this experience feels like, you know, new and fresh and improved than it was before. And, you know, I like it. It's like, this is definitely the definitive Mario Kart experience ever. Like, sure, they are not bringing over every course from other past Mario Kart games, because then it'd be over bloated, but they've pretty much picked out a large portion of some of the favorite tracks, as well as like some new ones, like the tour tracks and some original ones, because the whole point of this DLC was to include the tour tracks. Like, yeah, we got like a lot of Mario Kart Wii courses because it's a fan favorite, but at the same time, you know, people need to try out the new things because it's what, you know, gives this purpose to this DLC. So yeah, I really enjoyed most of the tour track. It just felt like a totally new experience and all that, and like, honestly, I really enjoyed it. It's like, yeah, I do wish a few courses, like, I know I already said this enough times, but would have been better, improved and all that, you know, because it was lacking some of the new features as well as like improvements from past games they were originally in. But other than that, it's like, you know, I hope they avoid doing those same mistakes again in future Mario Kart games. If we ever get, you know, a Mario Kart 9 or 10 for the next console or whatever. I feel like Mario Kart Tour is Mario Kart 9. It's just that not many people realize it. And I think like the next one could be Mario Kart X, Mario Kart 10. I don't know for the next console, but who really knows? But yeah, I'm about to run out of time. So what would I give this overall rating? I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. It's like my huge average, since I've given like, you know, a lot of like 7.5s, 8s, and some high numbers and all that. A couple low numbers, but honestly, this is good. I would say if you have a Nintendo Switch Online membership, it's worth getting it if you still have it active. If not, $25 is definitely worth it as well. But if you don't have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I would probably import this from PlayAsia, get an ordinary copy, because you'll have all the DLC, except you have to download it up to get Wave 6 included. But yeah, this has been Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I'm glad I finally got this game out of the way. And yeah, I'm glad I got 3 stars on all the 12 cups. Yeah, 12 cups throughout the entire DLC. Like on 150, 200cc, and mirror mode. Literally, this was, the only way I can evaluate how well the DLC is for it. So, yeah, I would say if you have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or if you plan on getting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'd say go pick it up. It's worth it if you enjoy a lot of content. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like, I'm gonna have to wrap this up because I don't want to drag this for too long because it's almost nearly 2 hours and all that. Although it'll probably be shorter than 2 hours after I edit this because, like, the only reason I'm doing this review is because I really want to express my own personal opinion about this. Like, I don't want my opinion to be too similar to other popular creators, as well as like some other bad ones that I've seen from last year. And I just feel like, yeah, I'm gonna disagree. I just couldn't stand some of the people's opinions about this. I mean, their opinions aren't wrong or anything. It's just more like this isn't my kind of way of how I see certain things here and there. I feel like most of their opinions are opposite to mine, but it's like, it's an opinion. It's like, it's supposed to be my experience, not theirs. I don't want to have their experience and I don't want them to have my experience. This is how I feel, alright? So it's like, like I said, there is a lot of, bias from, well, I not like I said, but there's a lot of bias from people because of the whole, favoritism over Mario Kart Wii tracks and whatnot. I just think there's like nostalgia bias and nostalgia bait about this, but honestly, I was only more concerned about that during the middle of, the DLC. And I just think, oh no, I just feel like it's gonna get worse later on. But no, they actually improved it, and it's not as bad as I was imagining. So yeah, I think I've said too much. I'm gonna stop there. So sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed this review. I don't think I'm gonna do a lot of it. I'm not too sure, honestly, because I don't really do a lot of reviews, but I had to get this out there just because I want to express how I feel. So I hope you guys understand about all this. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I'm not sure how much content I'll provide throughout 2024, but it's, something at least. And yeah, I'm hoping for new things to come in 2024 and from Nintendo. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. I'll be logging out. I'll see you all next time. Later.